The home caregiver pilot is set to open on March 31st, 2025, and IRCC has finally released the detailed eligibility and detailed instructions to apply for this program. For a very long time since the announcement of this pilot program, folks had been waiting for details on how to apply, on what is the eligibility, what kind of experience, what kind of education, what kind of training is required to be eligible under this program. And all of that was not freely available because IRCC had not yet released instructions. Well, now IRCC has made all the instructions available, and we are going to talk about it in detail with regards to what the eligibility is, how to apply, and what to expect in this application. So stay tuned until the end of this video. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Dhruv. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. At our firm Efficient, we assist all prospective immigrants with their immigration to Canada. If you are an aspirant, you need assistance, here is our contact information. Feel free to contact us and we would be happy to assist you. If you would like to talk to me or any of the other RCICs in our firm, you can book an appointment. The link is in the description. Book an appointment and we would be happy to chat with you. And guys, in order to stay updated about immigration, about Canadian immigration updates, and to know about application procedures, this is the channel you want to subscribe. So make sure you subscribe to this channel now. What are the detailed instructions for the home support worker? Let's talk about that. But before we go into those details, let's quickly look at the express entry draw we had this week. We had another big express entry draw for French category. So guys, that puts us into 3 draws already for French category this year. And this was a big one at 7,500 ITAs that were issued, and the cutoff was merely 379. Now, if you look at this, we have had 3 French draws. The first one with 6,500 ITAs, the cutoff score was 428. The second one with 4,500 ITAs, the cutoff score was 410. And finally, we've had this one at 7,500 ITAs, cutoff being only 379. So if you're still in doubt whether you should start learning French or not, I hope this draw answers that question. Well, we have covered the express entry draw for the week. Let's quickly also answer the comment of the week. And this comment comes on our video for LMIA point removal from express entry. And the question is, does IRCC consider folks who are on visitor visa or on applied status as candidates inside Canada for their draws? Well, IRCC has said that they're going to focus on inside Canada candidates and transition them to permanent residents. Now, this does not mean folks who are physically inside Canada. This particularly pertains to the folks who are eligible under the Canadian experience class, who meet the requirements for Canadian experience class. So you could be outside Canada, but as long as you meet the requirements of Canadian experience class, you are good. You could be inside Canada on a visitor visa, on a visitor record, or on applied status. And as long as you meet the requirements for CEC, you will be considered as in Canada from the definition with regards to the focus of IRCC to transition in Canada applicants. I hope this helps. Now guys, on to the main topic of the video with regards to the home care worker immigration pilot program and its detailed requirements. So guys, here on the screen, you can see the IRCC's official page for the requirements of the home care immigration pilot and instructions on how to apply. So in this section, in this particular part of the website, we can see who can apply with the detailed instructions. Along with that, we have the information about what are the next steps, like with regards to the eligibility, you need a job offer, and it talks about how to apply, and again, after you apply and how to settle in Canada. That's pretty standard for every PR program that they talk about. Now guys, here you can see IRCC has given the overall eligibility requirements. Now let's go into the details here, right? So with regards to the stream eligibility, there are 2 streams you may be eligible for. One is worker in Canada, and for eligibility under the worker in Canada stream, which opens on March 31st of 2025, that is in about a week. That's when it's going to open, and I'm sure it's going to close very soon after that. You need to be already living in Canada. You can be physically outside of Canada when you apply, but you'll need to show that you normally reside in Canada. So for example, if you're traveling for work, for vacation, for business, whatever it is, That is totally fine as long as your residence is in Canada. Secondly, you should be authorized to work in Canada full time with a valid work permit on maintained status or on public policies, right? Now, guys, here IRCC talks about if you are as in Canada as a business visitor, that does not count work authorization, or you're working on your study permit. So say you are a student and you're working 24 hours on your study permit, that does not count as authorization to work for this program. Now here's a catch here, guys. If you're currently living in Canada but no longer have work authorization, you may still be eligible for the pilot under a public policy. This is the best part. IRCC has allocated some amount of applications for folks who are out of status, who don't have authorization, because of the high demand, high need for home care workers. IRCC is saying that even if you're out of status, you don't have authorization to work, no problem. We're still going to give you a chance to apply for this program. This is a huge thing. So there is an allocation for that, and we're going to talk about that in detail in the later part of this video. And then there's the other stream, which is applicants not working in Canada. This stream is not open, and we're not going to focus on this stream at all for this video. Next is the language requirement. So guys, you need a language level CLB4 in IELTS or French. In English or French, you could do IELTS, CELPIP, or TEF, TCF for French. That is pretty straightforward. CLB level 4 is something you can get without even studying if you have lived in Canada for a few years. Second is education. You must have completed Canadian high school diploma equivalent or higher. Now this is very important. You need to showcase some sort of education credential here that is equivalent to high school or Canadian high school diploma or higher than that. Now guys, if you have foreign education, you need a VES or an ECA, Education Credential Assessment Report, in order to prove that you have the required credential in terms of Canadian equivalency. Now, if you studied in Canada, just and you did a college program, university program, just the degree or a diploma from that institute suffices. You don't need anything else. And then we talk about the work experience and training. Now, for this particular program, you need to either show work experience or relevant training. Either you must have 6 months of continuous full-time relevant experience in past 3 years, or you must have completed a relevant training credential in the past 2 years. We're going to talk about the details of this. So let's first go into the details of every section, right? So the language test here, it's pretty straightforward. CLB4 and the language test that IRCC is going to accept are given here. For English, there is your CELPIP, IELTS, PT, Core, French, TEF, TCF. And here IRCC talks about how you can find out your CLB level. So for example, if you've done the IELTS exam, this is what you need, CLB4, and that means 3.5 in reading, 4 in writing, listening 4.5, speaking 4. That's the minimum score that you need, and that is a cakewalk for most of you guys, I know that, right? Then we go into the education assessment. Now guys, you need a high school equivalent, so you must have the equivalent of a Canadian high school diploma or higher, and you can, for your foreign education, get an ECA to prove that. Now this page over here talks about what ECA organizations there are, and then you can see there is the VES, there is ICAS, IQAS, all different organizations that you can use in order to obtain your education credential assessment. So this is pretty standard. All of you must know this, and in most cases, if you are working in Canada, you must have your VES as well at this point. Alright guys, third is work experience or training. This is the most important part in this application, and this was the most confusing part till now, and now IRCC has clarified it. So guys, under the home care worker immigration pilot, there is two things you need to satisfy, either you have relevant work experience or you have relevant training credential, right? So even work experience is not necessary if you don't have one. So for work experience, you must have 6 months of work experience gained inside or outside Canada. It doesn't matter. You could have been in your home country in the past 3 years, gained this experience. That would qualify you. That would work. So the work experience must be in one or both of the NOCs of the pilot you apply for. So either for example, within the HCWIP, there are two categories. One is childcare and the other is home support, right? So the childcare is for home childcare providers and early childhood educators and assistants. Now, guys, if you are working in any of these occupations, this is a golden chance for you. You can apply, you can submit application. It's whoever gets in their application faster wins here. So on March 31st, when the applications open, you need to put all your information in the application, get all your documents uploaded and submit the application. And guys, the most important thing here is that a lot of folks are in Canada who have this experience as home child care provider or early childhood educator, right? So again, this makes a very good opportunity for those folks. And then for home support, there's home support workers, caregivers and related occupation, and then nurse aides. So uh, for example, if you have been working as a nurse aide, then also you are eligible, right? um, so uh, so basically you need to have 6 months of recent continuous work experience in 3 years in NOCs of one of the pilots. um, you can have a mix of occupations. So for example, you can have 3 months as 44100 and 3 months in early childhood educator, as long as it's within the same pilot, right? So if say you have 3 months as home childcare provider and 3 months as home support worker, then you are not in the same pilot, so your experience would not work. Does that, I hope that makes sense. And here is an example that IRCC has given under the HCWIP. If your child if you are going under childcare, your experience can include both childcare provider and early childhood assistant. um, so again, pick your option here, either the home support or childcare, and accordingly you need the experience. You need to again, this is standard that you need to match the duties of that NOC, what that you're claiming. You must have gained that experience since you're 18 years or older. In most cases that would be true. Have been gained in the past 3 years before you apply, that is also good. Any experience gained after applying doesn't count. Of course, guys, if you are saying that you are currently gaining experience, you have not completed 3 years and you apply 6 months and you apply, then it's not going to work. 6 months should have been completed before the application period. It should be continuous. Now, guys, this is important. It means that you must have worked at least 6 months in a row. Now, 6 months in a row. So the question is, well, I was off for a few days. I did a vacation. They say that reasonable vacations are fine. So I actually say that you can have 2 weeks of vacation in a 52-week period in 1 year. So if in 6 months you had 1 week of vacation, that is okay. That is acceptable. And if you've changed jobs, so for example, you were working at one place and then you went over to the other place, that is okay, provided the NOC codes are satisfied and provided you did not break your employment. That is, like, you did not put a gap of 1 month between the two jobs, right? So say you ended one job on a Friday and started the new job on a Monday. That's amazing. That's great. It's considered continuous. Again, that needs to be full time, or if you did part time, you need to basically say uh, you did multiple part-time jobs, then they must add to 30 hours per week for 6 months. So again, now you need to have 6 month work experience and it has to be full-time. This is a new addition here, right? Usually IRCC would say even if you work part-time for say 12 months, 15 hours every week, you have gained 6 months. But no, they're saying that it has to be full-time for 30 hours per week. And there shouldn't be any part-time employment here. You could have part-time, but at least it should add to 30 hours. And the last is, it should be authorized while you had temporary resident status if you gained this experience in Canada. So if the experience was in Canada, then it must have been authorized with valid temporary resident status. So here they talk about work could have been authorized under a valid work permit or maintained status. If it was unauthorized, IRCC is still saying that it still may be eligible. And there is a particular policy that they are initiating for this, and they have some allocations for folks who even gained their work experience in Canada by unauthorized means. They're going to give you a chance as well. Now the question is, what does not count as work experience? Gained as full-time student, when you were self-employed, period of unemployment with long-term sickness or parental leave. Um, so this is very clear, right? Self-employment, student work experience, unemployment doesn't count, and long-term sickness or maternal, paternal leave, parental leaves do not count here. Now comes the next important part, and that is the training. So as you may remember, you can either have training or you can have work experience. So work experience we've talked about. Now let's talk about what you require for training. Now guys, they say that the training credential should be for at least a 6-month program within or outside Canada, and the training must be again targeting either the childcare program or the home support, and it has talked about the particular knock codes. These are the same knock codes we talked about in the work experience section. Now, your training should be in knocks of one of the pilot, either childcare or home support. You can have a mix of occupation within the same pilot. So, say you did some home child care provider and early childhood assistant programs or combine them. That is fine, but it should be within the same pilot, either childcare or home support. It should be at the post-secondary level, so after grade 12. It should be full-time, at least 15 hours of training per week. Be offered mainly in person, have started while you were 17 years or older, and be completed within 2 years before you apply. So this must have been completed 2 years prior to your application. So say that you did a program last year for 6 months, you are good. If you completed this training outside Canada, you don't need ECA unless you are using that training to meet the educational requirement. Now guys, if say you did some training program in India or in any other country, and you are applying under this particular pilot, you do not need an ECA for that particular training program. Now that means you may have done a training program at a local institute, a private institute. You don't need an ECA, you do not need to get VES for that, as long as you're using some other program for your educational requirement. For meeting the educational requirement, VES is mandatory, but for meeting the training requirement, the training part, it's not mandatory. What does not count as training? The training that was targeted towards occupations other than those listed above. So if you have training in outside of these occupations, it won't count, and they've specially given training in medical field. Now, what does that mean? That means that say you are a doctor, that doesn't count, right? Because it's not specific to that, right? But if you've done nursing, that is a fair game, right? This nurse aids, like if you've studied nursing, that counts, right? Training that was done mainly online and on the job training. So it has to be a training credential, not something that you were doing while you were working on the job. So that is your work experience requirement or training requirement. Next we go to proof of funds. Now guys, very simple. It's only required for applicants not working in Canada stream at the moment. We only have the work applicants working in Canada stream open, and there is no proof of fund requirement, so zero. You do not need to prove any funds for this application. Lastly, for the eligibility, again, this is the best thing in this program. If you are a home care worker without status in Canada or authorization to work, you may still be eligible under a public policy. Now, what is this public policy? It exempts a small number of applicants from certain requirements of workers in Canada stream. That means you could still be eligible if you don't have legal status and are not authorized to work. You have legal status in Canada as a visitor, but you are not authorized to work. Lastly, your previous work experience in Canada was not authorized, not gained while you had temporary resident status. That means you were undocumented, out of status, and you were still working against the immigration law. You continued working as a home caregiver or home support worker or child care provider. You can still count that experience and they will give you a chance. This is something extraordinary that they're doing. You can include accompanying family members in Canada on your application even if they have overstayed. So not only you, even if your family members are out of status, all are totally outside of restoration window, you can still, all of you as a family can immigrate through this program. You must still meet all the other requirements and requirements of the public policy below. So here are the requirements of this public policy for unauthorized or undocumented folks inside Canada. So if you are out of status, you are out of options, you have experience or training as caregiver, then this section is the most important for you. The requirement is you must meet these requirements to qualify. You are in Canada when you apply, so you need to be in Canada. You do not have authorization to work and you don't have temporary resident status or are a visitor. You must have entered Canada legally on or before December 16, 2021 and lived here continuously since then. Now guys, this is very important. You must have entered before December 16th. So if you entered after on or after December 16th, then that becomes a problem. And you had a work permit at some point. So say you were a postgraduate work permit holder, then you went out of status, then it works. You are not inadmissible to Canada for reasons other than overstaying, working or studying without authorization, having a family member who overstayed their temporary resident status, or worked or studied without authorization. Now, this is very important. Inadmissibility can be because of this reason over here, that you've overstayed, you did not comply with the requirements of your visa, or it could be because of medical reasons, criminality, serious criminality. Now, if it's because of medical criminality, serious criminality, then it won't help you here. However, if your inadmissibility is just because you overstayed, you're out of status, out of options, then you can apply. Who is not eligible? Well, they have made it very clear. If you started living in Canada after December 16, 2021, you have made a refugee claim, you are under a removal order, you are currently in Canada on a study permit, you haven't had a valid work permit at any point during your period of residence. Work permits before this period of residence does not count. So any work permit you had before December 16, 2021, that would not count. So you must have held a work permit here. Again, how to apply? Now we're going to talk about the next. This will come to the how to apply section after we talk about the job offer. Now guys, IRCC is also saying that after you apply for this program as out of status undocumented worker or immigrant, you can get your work permit, you can restore your status, and you can come back into legal status. They will release details on that at a later time. Okay, now that we've talked about language, education, work experience training, proof of funds, and the public policy for out of status applicants, let's talk about the job offer requirement. Now guys, in this particular program, it is based on a job offer. You need to get a job offer from your employer. Your employer basically needs to meet these requirements. Your job offer needs to meet this requirement. um, so first is like you should be able to accept the job offer and be able to perform the duties. Now this is determined by your past training and past work experience, that whatever job you're accepting, you meet the requirements for that particular job. You have the skills and expertise to perform the duties of that job. The job must be in the NOC of the pilot that you're applying. Again, we know the NOC codes 44100, 44101. So basically, this is for home child care worker program. For the child care home care worker immigration program, child care, it's 44100, and then for home support it is 44101. Now guys, this is interesting, right? They're saying that although work experience and training in these NOCs may be eligible, we won't accept job offers for 42202 and 33102. That is, your job offer cannot be an early childhood educator or a nurse aide. That has to be either a home support worker or a home child care provider. So these are the only two NOCs, 44100 and 44101, in which you can have the job offer. For the experience and training, it could be in 42202 or 33102, but the job offer cannot be. So this is sort of a confusing part, but I hope I clarified it a bit, and please make sure you understand this requirement. um, it has to be inside Canada and outside of Quebec. It has to be full-time and continuous, so there shouldn't be any end date, and it should be at least 30 hours of paid work per week. Then third requirement is job offer must include hourly wage, employment requirement, description of main duties, be genuine, meaning there is a real need to hire you, blah blah blah. So this is pretty straightforward. Employer can fulfill the terms of the job, including paying you. Employer follows all the rules. Your wage must be equal to higher to the job bank's median wage for the occupation listed on your job offer in the province or territory of employment. So this is very important, guys. Now here, it's important that the job meets the median wage requirement. So let me tell you what the median wage is going to be. So if we look at 44100, um, and that's a nanny, for example, um, every province has its median wage. Newfoundland has 1560, Nova Scotia $18, New Brunswick $17, Quebec has $20, but Quebec does not qualify, so forget about that. Ontario is $18, Manitoba is $17.84, Saskatchewan $17, Alberta $20, British Columbia $18, and territories have this wage over here, right? So for example, if you're working, if you have job offer from Ontario, it should be at least at $18. Anything less than that would not work. You would be disqualified and your application will be refused. And then let's talk about 44101 quickly. uh, so if I go and check this particular thing, for this knock code, these are the median wages: 1695 for Newfoundland, 1915 for Prince Edward, Nova Scotia is 19, New Brunswick is 17, Quebec doesn't matter, Ontario is 2034. So it's a little on the higher end, and this is how you can check all the median wages for the province, right? So here on this screen, I am basically highlighting and sharing all these median wages, and you need to make sure that your job offer matches the median wage requirement for your particular job that you're getting for the province that the job is in. This is a very important requirement. Oftentimes folks miss this requirement and then it gets rejected, right? So again, if there is no provincial or territorial wage, so for some provinces, if there is no median wage listed, you use the national one. If the employer's workers have a union, the rules of the collective agreement apply. So if, say, your employer has a unionized workers in that particular occupation, then whatever the wages are set by the union, they apply in that case. If your employer is a business, they must have been providing the same type of care services for at least 1 year, right? Very important. You cannot just set up a business and give job offers here. There should be ongoing care services being provided for at least 1 year before the job offer is paid. Now guys, this is very important. They must have a CRA business number, and it could be a private household who is giving you a job offer, or a business. If it's a business, has to be 1 year old at least. So these are all the organizations that can give you a job offer, right? And then for the private household as well, there is a CRA business number that is required. So say that you have an employer, a private employer, private household who wants to hire you, or who is already who you're working with, and they are willing to support you through this program. Tell them to get their CRA business number, because that is going to be key here. You cannot apply without that. So who cannot apply as an eligible employer? If it's a recruitment or placement agency, if it's an embassy, high commission, or consulate. An employer found non-compliant. If you're self-employed, you cannot yourself be your employer, and your spouse, common law partner, parent or grandparent or child cannot be your employer. So it could not be that you are a permanent resident, you are employing your father or your mother as a child care provider, and they apply under this program. That would not fly, that would not work. And the employer needs to provide you this employer form. For private household, it's called IMM 0267, and for business employees, IMM 0268. Employer must sign this form, and it's a mandatory requirement for this particular application. So make sure you get this filled starting now. All right, now we have talked about who can apply, what are the job offer requirements. Let's talk about how to apply. So guys, the stream is going to open on March 31st, 2025. This is the allocation. Almost 2,500 per category: childcare and home support. So 5,000 applications. For out of status, for each category, 125. So there's total 125 per category. 250 lucky people who are out of status, who have no other options, who can become permanent residents through this program. Now, how do you get ready? Well, you need to prepare as much as possible before the pilot opens, because cabs are usually reached very quickly, and IRCC has acknowledged that already on their website. Maybe in a few, I don't know, maybe it'll take half an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, maybe a day, but cabs will reach very quickly in this program. So the application is through the PR portal. Here is the permanent residence portal, right? You basically have to have an account here. If you don't, you should create one. If you need our assistance, we already have the rep account. But again, how this works is uh, basically you apply through this portal, and on the day the pilot opens on March 31st, you will see that option. So currently, if you go through the pilot and start a PR application, you select the economic class over there. Now guys, at the moment if you create your account, this particular pilot will not show up there. The worker in Canada, and then for out of status unauthorized workers, you won't see any sections there. But once this pilot opens, these headings will appear. So you have to select the right category, and then you have to, after that, fill in the entire application. So this application on the PR portal has all the online forms: IMM 0008, IMM 5669, IMM 5562, and IMM 5406. This is the generic application form for PR 0008, background form 5669, IMM 5562 is your travel history, and 5406 is your family information form. This has to be filled online, and then there are a bunch of supporting documents that you need to upload in that portal before you submit. Guys, very important thing, make sure you have all the supporting documents ready before the application opens. You must have paid the fee for this application and have the fee receipt ready. So all the documents, all the supporting documents as per the checklist must be ready to upload. The fee must have been paid, and as the pilot opens, all you need to do is fill that information into the forms, in the 0008, in all those background forms, and submit the application as soon as you can before the caps are reached. Now guys, these are the forms. So this is the job offer form, that is important. And then these are the forms that you'll fill out in the portal, as we have talked about it: 5406, 5562, 5669, and 0008. These are the PDF forms that you upload without a signature. So it's the document checklist, and schedule 21. And then for out of status applicants, you need to again give these are document checklist a little different. The schedule 21 is the same, and then there is another schedule 22 that talks about the public policy, under which you become eligible as non-documented or out of status applicants to apply. These are the forms you need signature, so your job offer needs to have a signature. Then if this applies to you, if you are a common law partner, then you need to sign the statutory declaration, and these are the other forms that need signature. Now these are the other documents, guys. With regards to the documents, there are documents with regards to your job offer, training, legal entry, work authorization, etc., and photograph. Application fee for this program is $1,525. This is important. Please pay the receipt, pay the fee, and have the receipt ready for this application before the applications open up, because trust me, this has happened before. On the day systems crash, receipt payment portals also crash. You must have all of this ready. You don't want to waste time making the payment at that time. That's it, guys. Once you have all of this, then you submit the complete application. So let me just quickly show you the document checklist for maybe one of the programs. So let's just quickly download it here and see if we can open this. Excellent. So here is that document checklist, guys. So what you should do is, before the pilot opens, go over all these document checklist and make sure you have everything properly labeled and properly saved in your computer, so that as soon as it opens, you submit, upload, and you're ready to submit as soon as you fill all the online forms. Travel document, passports, proof of language proficiency, proof of education, civil identity and civil status, so birth certificates, marriage certificates, common law union, whatever applies to you. Eligible work experience or eligible training, you need the credentials for that. Proof of job offer, again you need the job offer letter from the employer, and then that form. If you have children, then this section: police certificate. You must submit your PCC for anywhere you've lived after the age of 18 for 6 months or more. Proof of residence in Canada, your work permit. whatever, and your address in Canada, proof of address, so lease agreement, utility bill, etc., driver's license, and then the fee payment and photograph. So basically this is all that you need. So guys, this was a very long video and we've talked about in great detail all about this program and how to apply. We've talked about who can apply, we've talked about the job offer, we've talked about the education training or the experience requirements, and we've talked in detail about how to apply for this program. Again, once you submit the application, then it goes into processing, and then after that IRCC will contact you for biometrics, they will contact you for medical if necessary, and so on and so forth. The regular process will ensue and hopefully soon you will receive your PR. Now guys, the important question, how to prepare yourself. As I've mentioned before, make sure you have, as per the document checklist that applies to you, all the documents ready to upload. Everything should be ready in your computer and they should be prepared to be uploaded. Secondly, make sure you have the information for all the forms 0008, 5669, 5562 and 5406 readily available in front of you, so that all you're doing when the pilot opens is type it in, and right as you're done typing it in, you are ready to submit that application. Thirdly, make the fee payment in advance for the processing fee of this particular application and have the receipt ready for uploading and then submitting this application. Guys, it is very important to be quick for this particular application. You don't want to be in a situation where you are not able to fill in the application fast enough and apply on time. Now guys, how can we help you in this particular application? uh, we have certain different modes, certain different services that we are providing for this particular application. Now, with regards to the full service end to end, wherein we prepare everything, we fill in the forms, and we upload everything, because of limitations and because of caps, there is a limited number of applications that we will intake, that we will accept, because we don't want to take your application and then not be able to submit it in time before the cap is reached. So we will be accepting, wherein we will prepare all your file, we will complete the forms. As soon as the pilot opens, we will upload all the necessary documents. We'll have everything ready before March 31st. With regards to your documentation, the supporting documentation, the fee receipt after the fee is paid, and all the information that goes into the forms, and we will make the submission for you. Now, if it's outside of that cap that we can intake, outside of our capacity, we also have a second service in which we will prepare the entire package as per the checklist, the full package, full documents as per the checklist that need to be uploaded to the portal. We'll provide you that package, the fee receipt, and the detailed information that must go into the forms. As soon as the pilot opens, your job is only to upload those documents and take the snippets of forms that we've filled for you and fill all that information in the forms 0008, 5669, 5562 and 5406 and hit the submit button. That way, you will be able to leverage your quickness and your resources to fill the form, complete the application, and submit it on time, uh, and not be constrained by your firm's resources. Another important thing I would like to point is, if you are hiring any representative, guys, just make sure that they have the capacity to handle the load they have taken over, because oftentimes with these cap based applications, you may have retained someone, you may have even paid them, but they may not be able to submit it on time just because of the sheer volume of work they have, and they may not be able to get your application before the cap is filled. And because of this reason, we have a limited capacity that we are going to accept, and we are going to offer a DIY package to you, which you just need to use to upload all the documents and fill those online forms and submit the application. Thirdly, of course, we'll have the review service as well, wherein once you've prepared your application, we can review the entire application in detail. And then come the day on March 31st, you can complete your application, upload everything, and submit the application. So end to end, DIY package delivery and the full review service. whatever works for you, we would be happy to assist you. That's it for this video, guys. So in summary, we have talked all about the home child care program. The pilot is set to open on March 31st, and if you are out of status or even if you're in status, you meet the requirements, highly recommend. This is a golden opportunity for a lot of folks in Canada right now, especially the folks who have lost all the other hope. Even for folks who are inside Canada but who have work experience from outside Canada or training in these programs, this is a golden chance for you. So make sure you make use of this. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you are notified about any new video that we upload. If you think that this information will be helpful for any of your friends or family members, please share this video with them. This would be great help to them. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.